All right, you guys, welcome to Boss Bitch Radio. Now, today's podcast, we are going to dive into why most people fail at programs. And I felt that this podcast was important to get out into the universe because we see a lot of people that just throw money at programs at the beginning of the year. Ours included, we're no exception to the rule. And I think that a lot of times people are not prepared for the back end work that probably should be done before they dive into something like a transformation program. So today I'm going to jump on my soapbox for a little bit to help you get clear as to whether or not you should hand over cash for some kind of transformation program. Now, I'm going to dive into a little bit about what we offer, but even if you don't go with our program, I want you to be armed with some kind of info for you to make some educated decisions about where you're going to hand over your hard-earned money, okay? I'm going to go over some critical steps. So I teased this out with Alicia. We were kind of talking about some common themes and things that I've heard over the years as far as clients not really being ready for what they signed up for, right? So I'm going to unpack some of those critical things for you to consider. And I always go back to saying, women are mostly excited about starting a program rather than executing, because once they start realizing what they got into, it becomes a little bit overwhelming. So we're going to talk about how to get the best out of your journey when you do sign up for something like a transformation program. Now, the reason why we're talking about this right now, if depending on where and when you're listening to this should be airing at the end of November. And we're launching and getting ready to start the Goddess Body Project, which is our 12-week transformation program. And so we want people to be very aware of what these types of programs entail. So that way you are ready to rock when your program starts, whether it's with us or with any program that you join. Now, our program is actually opening for enrollment on November 29th. So again, depending on when you're listening to this, it may have already been open for enrollment. You may have missed it, or it is coming. Okay. Now there is a link in the show notes as well as over on the YouTubes in the description for you to sign up for the wait list. Enrollment will start with the wait list first. So you will want to get your email on that list. Now, we have an in-person component at my personal training studio in Modesto, which is VNS Fitness Studio. And then we also have some online options. Okay. Online coaching is nothing new. It is something that has been around for a very long time. And if you go into it properly set up, like we're going to talk about today, you can be incredibly successful. Okay. We have had at this point worked with thousands of people in our online programs over the course of our business life. So we officially start this program, at least this round is going to start January 15th of 2024. So again, right around the corner. This is when you should be doing the pre-work in terms of thinking about what you're doing. If you are indeed going to be starting some kind of new program, or you're ready to just finally do the damn thing, this is when you should be really setting your ducks up in a row. Okay. This will be our 5th round that we have run this program. It is incredibly successful. If you haven't listened to some of our testimonial stories, please be sure to do that. We will link those up in the show notes as well. Now, we are also going to give you that link so you can see what it's all about, right? Like what comes with the program, what you can expect, testimonials, results, frequently asked questions, investment information. We have that all there in that link so you can make an informed decision. Again, it's workout programs, it's nutrition stuff. It is access to us weekly, which is going to be a new component to our program as far as online and in person. We are going to have weekly coaching calls and also a community for you all to connect with like-minded people who are also in this journey with you. Super stoked about that. If you have any lingering questions, is this right for me? Would this work for me? By all means, hit us up in the DMs. I am there for you. We will get you all taken care of. So Before we dive in, let's sort of tease out the definition of what is a transformation program, right? Maybe you've heard of it, but like, what is that? I've never worked with a coach or worked with anybody online or anything like that. What is a transformation program? Well, in a nutshell, it should be a program that is spelled out for you pretty simply, straightforward to get you to an end goal, right? We'll see there's many different types of transformation programs. There are, weight training focused solely ones. There are weight loss ones. There are build programs. There's a combination of everything in between. Any sort of transformation you want to undergo, I'm sure if you Google it, you will find a program for that. Somebody who has done it themselves, somebody who has put other people through the same sort of step-by-step process. And this is to eliminate any kind of friction that you have with starting this on your own. It is like a body in a box, okay, for lack of better terms or definitions. A good transformation program should guide you from the start to the end with as least amount of friction as possible, right? You don't have to Google and find out all the things and try to piecemeal all of your strategy together on your own. It is essentially done for you. You plug and play. Now, I know that sounds great and easy and too good to be true. However, most transformation programs, if they are thoroughly thought through in terms of the foundation of what the premise of the program is, you should be able to implement that and get some really great results from a program that has been designed to take you through the journey, right? So with our program specifically, like we talked about earlier, we have the workout component, the nutrition component, and there is a lot of mindset stuff. Now, I know that's not the fun, sexy stuff that everybody looks forward to. They're just like, give me the plan, give me the diet, give me the workout. I want to know what you do. It's really not that easy, right? It's easy, but the hard work is the mindset shifts that you really have to make. So we do sprinkle that throughout the program every single week in some capacity with mindset stuff, along with the meat and potatoes of why you're really there, because we want this to stick. We want you to embody these lifestyle habits and not feel like you're constantly starting over or that didn't work for me, things of that nature. So it is essentially a roadmap to sculpt your physique. At least our program is going to sculpt your physique, get you that body goals that you're looking for. And for everybody, that's going to be a little bit different, right? We can have somebody who's super new. We can have somebody who's a little more intermediate. And we can have somebody that's advanced. And the foundations of our program can be tweaked and tailored accordingly, just really depending on where you're at. Okay. Now, just as a side note, we have talked about this pretty in depth in some of our other episodes about the Goddess Body Project. Now, as far as our online component to that, we have a VIP version, which is one-on-one with a coach. And then we have a group program, which is a little more affordable. It allows you access to myself and some of the other coaches and a weekly step-by-step dripped program for you. So that way, exactly, what to be focusing on every week. But I do believe that the group component for our program is not something that is super tailored for beginners. You should have a good base level knowledge of like how to get in the gym and mess around with the machines and know, some basics about nutrition. Like, oh, I know chicken breast is protein and, good carbs or single ingredient carbs are going to be like rice and potatoes, right? So you have like a base level foundation. If you've never done anything like transformation programs before in your life, maybe technology overwhelms you, you are going to need a little more hand-holding and a little more step-by-step. Our VIP option will be a much better option for you. It's going to be a little more hand-holding, a little more high touch with a coach to walk you through that experience and get you to the end goal. Anyhow, it is also not just about your physical transformation, right? Even though we are teaching you and giving you the tools for that physical transformation, at the end, it is going to be a bit of a lifestyle transformation. You're going to be implementing new habits and tactics and things like that. And it is my firm belief, and this is me stepping on my soapbox, that a good transformation program when it comes to health and fitness, weight loss, body change is going to give you the foundations to make this a lifestyle without it feeling like you dread it, you hate it, you don't enjoy it, right? I mean, obviously, there's always pieces to that puzzle. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. However, the trade-off of your maybe old life that's got you run down, lack of energy, unhappy with your physique, the trade-off is going to pay off in leaps and bounds when you start making and implementing these lifestyle changes. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The first thing that you need to do when you are looking at starting a transformation program is you need to assess your current habits and current pitfalls. I think this is something that a lot of people maybe just subliminally don't think about because they don't want to. However, you have to identify what bad habits or habits that aren't serving you, not getting you to your goals, what habits got you to where you are right now. Okay. I just got the chills saying that out loud because this is something that we often don't think about. We just want to throw money at this program. I'm going to buy it. It's this workout program, this diet thing, and I'm just going to do it. Right. Very rarely works out successful if you don't take the time to kind of go through these things that we're going to talk about today, which again is identifying which habits are contributing to your unhappiness where you're at now before you start that program. So some examples. Are you constantly door dashing? Okay. Are you eating out multiple times per week, right? You're going out with friends or you're restaurant dining consistently, right? Now, stay tuned. Please don't check out just yet because I'm not saying that these things aren't possible when you start a program. However, the death is in the dose. Okay. So if you are consistently door dashing, if you are eating out restaurant food every day, if you're going through Starbucks every single morning and getting your Frappuccino with, your cake pops, if you are, parking your butt in the break room and all the temptations in there get to you every single day, if you are snacking incessantly, if you are eating bites, licks, and tastes off of kids' plates, right? These habits compound over time and eventually people don't realize it, right? Because they're just doing life and they're going through the motions and they're just, conveniently grabbing what's in front of them. These habits are really hard ones to break and also will land you in a spot when they are, again, overdosed, right? The death is in the dose when this is consistently taking up a majority of your lifestyle habits. You will end up feeling unhappy for the most part. Most people do, right? This is one thing that contributes to that. Okay. Some other things are staying up too late, right? Are you staying up too late, burning the candle? And also this also ties into all of these like kind of nutritional bad habits, right? The DoorDash, the dining out, things like that. When you're staying up too late, a lot of times this then bleeds into the next day, right? You don't want to get up early for your workouts. Maybe you have to get up early for work. So your sleep is then decreased. And then the rest of the day, it throws off essentially your hunger cues, right? So you aren't really in touch with what it feels like to have natural ebbs and flows to your hunger because your sleep is kind of erratic and inconsistent. And if you've been here for any number of episodes, you know that I talk often about how we are just like big babies. Okay. It's silly to think that we can stay up late and live off of 3 hours of sleep and just pound back tons of caffeine and burn the candle. When we wouldn't expect that of like our children, whether they're small children or young adults or whatever, right? It's something that we're just like, oh, I'm an adult. I can do whatever I want. But again, it comes with a cost. So the lack of sleep is a huge one, which if you haven't already picked up my freebie sleep resource guide, I have a great one. I worked on my sleep for years. I work on this with clients quite often. And it's just a list of a lot of different tips and tricks and tools of the trade and some supplements that I always recommend if you want to start improving your sleep. So make sure to check out the description or the show notes for that free sleep resource. And then the other one that is another kind of falls in within the assessing your habits and pitfalls is overuse of alcohol, right? Because that also is, again, one of those habits that can lead to getting you into a position where you're unhappy at the point of the start of a transformation. You're like, okay, I've had enough. And a lot of times these bad habits are all in a bucket of what is contributing to where you are now. So when you go into a transformation program, old habits die hard. These are things you are going to have to consciously fight yourself on, right? Now, it doesn't mean that you can't order DoorDash or you can't dine out or you can't get Starbucks. It just means that you're going to have to be more mindful when you partake in these types of habits, right? Let me tell you, I can order DoorDash, I can eat out, I can go to Starbucks, I can be in a break room, if I had to be, and things of that nature, and still stay on track, not feel uber deprived, and still work towards my goals. But again, it's a practice, and that's something that you have to be prepared for before you start a program, is that programs will work. But if you are not willing to do the work on your end to stop self-sabotaging, you are going to just continue to struggle and likely will not be successful in any program. Okay, soapbox, deliver the message. Okay. The next thing to consider before you start a program is your environment set up for you to indeed be successful? Now, what I mean by that is you need to have home front preparation, okay? Optimizing your home to make sense for changing your lifestyle for the better. Now, again, this can feel overwhelming and feel like too many things to tackle. But let me please urge you that if you do not listen thoroughly to this episode and set yourself up before you press buy now on any program, it is going to be another program that you will likely struggle with, fail, and then you're going to be back where you started, a month or two after you shell out the cash. Okay. So I'm just trying to help you set yourself up right. Okay. Now in our program, all of these things we talk about we're going to be talking about every single week in our coaching calls in some capacity. They're going to be covered because we want you to continually work on this. It is not going to be perfect. We don't expect perfection. We expect you to just show up and continue to try to do the work. And so part of that is indeed us working with you and reminding you and you being a part of the community that this is ultimately your responsibility. You have to set yourself up right. Okay. So the home front, you have to get your home fridge set up properly, your pantry set up properly, and your grocery shopping likely needs to look a little bit different. If you are coming from a place where you're very unhappy with your physique, your health, how you're feeling, your energy, and you're taking on something like a transformation program. So your environment is huge when it comes to the prediction of your success. So setting up your home so you have readily available healthy choices and you're not scrambling because you have not prepared yourself, right? So again, we have a ton of abundant resources on the podcast, one of which is an easy one for you to snag right now and kind of get the ball rolling is I have a free list of protein snacks. So check out the link in the description. You'll see my free protein snacks there. The list, sign up for that and it'll give you a little PDF for you to start building your pantry, your fridge, and setting it up right for you to be successful. Okay. So if your home is what is the name for this? So we call my house the ingredient house. Okay. Well, actually I think my kids called it that, or we came up with that name somewhere, found it on the web. My house is more of an ingredient house. Okay. It's not really set up to be a snack house. I do have some like more healthy snacks because I enjoy those things, but it's not it's an ingredient house. Most of what is in my home requires other things to make either a meal or a snack. It's not a lot of processed, high fat, high calorie, high fructose corn syrup, trans fats type of snacky home. If you have a home filled with snacks, you are going to struggle unless you hate snacks. And if you hate snacks, I don't think we can be friends. You just need to find the right snacks that serve your goals and also curb a craving and don't have you feeling deprived, right? Like you are going to be successful if the foods that you're consuming are enjoyable and also serve a purpose, right? And so that's what we want to teach you and show you in our program. And if you join a program that is just like incredibly strict, incredibly restrictive, and doesn't allow for some flexibility, that is another surefire sign that you're likely going to struggle with that, especially if you are coming from a home or a lifestyle that is very laden with snacks and very convenient foods and things like that. So again, just to set you up properly, you got to get your home front dialed in. Okay. So the fridge, the pantry, again, snacks, your grocery list, that needs to start changing. It's very disruptive to the home front, the home environment. If mom goes on a plan or starts a program, doesn't let everybody in the house know, and then just throws everything away, and now everybody has to eat like mom. I'm just giving you a heads up there. So that leads me into the next important point is you need to set up your support system, your social circle, that you need to have set up and dialed in before you start. Super, super important. The people in your household, again, if you're starting a program, in my opinion, it shouldn't be a secret. It should not be something you're doing in secret, because if you get some buy-in with your family, it'll make the process easier for you. And also it can influence your family, which is huge, which is so, so, so important, especially if you have young children, right? I always use this example for myself with this particular scenario is that I just started shifting my groceries, right? I stopped buying certain things. I started replacing with other things. And then I would casually mention to my children, like, okay, I'm not buying this anymore. It's not really healthy for us. It's not good for us. I know it tastes good. We're trying this. This is a better version. It's healthier. And listen, you're not going to knock it out the park every time. Okay. You're probably going to get a little bit of resistance or have a little bit of resistance from some people in the family. Others might be like, yeah, I'm ready for that change, right? It's always super helpful if your partner is on board with you, right? Your main support system in your household, if they are on board with you, it makes this process so much easier. Now, again, having been in this space for 17 years now in the health and fitness space in some way, shape, or form, I have heard and seen a lot of stories about women who have partners that are not supportive, and it does cause a lot of friction. Now, supportive to me does not mean that this partner has to do everything you're doing, right? It's not realistic to have that expectation for somebody who may not be on the same page as you, may not have the same goals or have the desire, but having their support in your process, in your journey, and maybe having a conversation and a dialogue about how this impacts your relationship, how it impacts your future, and getting a little more deep with that versus like, I'm going on a diet. You need to go on a diet with me too, right? Like nobody wants to be forced into something that isn't their idea most of the time. So having those conversations identifying who are really great support people, potential support people in your in your stratosphere that can be your cheerleaders and also got your back, right? Kind of like some maybe accountability partners as well. Now, some other things to consider as far as your social circle goes is your friendship circle, right? Who are you hanging out with? Do they support you? Do they sabotage you? Are they going to cause friction for you, right? Oh, so-and-so's eating healthy now, right? I've heard the most like ridiculous stuff when people want to actually like better themselves. And spoiler alert, they're usually haters of some kind. So that's something you want to think about. Like, who's in your social circle? What can you do to either bring them in and have them join you in your endeavors, or just know that sometimes when you embark on new journeys and new chapters of your life, not everybody comes along. It doesn't mean you love them any less. It doesn't mean that you don't want them in your life. It just means that sometimes spending time with them affects your goals and what you're trying to achieve in your life. And it isn't in your best interest to devote a lot of time and energy into those relationships because they are not helping you live in your highest good, okay, for your own life and your body. Now, the next pillar to consider before you start any kind of transformation program is your schedule and your time commitments, your obligations, things that live on your calendar that are going to have to be considered, right? Because when you start a new program, you are going to have to make some adjustments to your current lifestyle, especially if you haven't already been doing some of the foundational things for a healthy lifestyle, which is moving your body, eating foods that serve your goals, resting, sleeping, recovery, things like that. Those things need to be considered because they take up time. And workout commitments need to be something that's considered when you start a program, right? I want you to think about before you start a program, okay, when is it that you need to get very specific? Okay, if you've never heard of SMART goals, it's getting very dialed in with everything. So they are goals that you set that are going to be achieved because you have been very, very specific, right? Is this a SMART goal? Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it actionable? Is it timely? SMART. Yes. And I think R is relevant. Sorry if I got the words mixed up there. That was not planned for what I was going to say here, but it is important as I'm talking about that to set SMART goals. So one of those is getting very, very specific with your availability to include exercise, right? What date times are you going to exercise? What days? Where? How often? Who's going with you, right? Those type of things need to be figured out before you start a program. Because one of the biggest excuses that I hear when people start programs is, I just don't have time. And I'm sure I'll get some pushback with people where it's like, I really genuinely do not have time. And I have had some clients that are in a chapter of their life that work with me online, and they are checking in with me purely for accountability, and they're working on the nutrition piece of things. But the workout is something that they're just like, I'm working 14-hour days. Like I barely have time to like get in enough rest and like all my other like obligations with like family and things. So the workout has to take a back seat. However, if that is you, I would not recommend starting a transformation program that is going to want you to, or is going to be required of you to get in some exercise and nutrition, right? In my opinion, exercise is not something that we do temporarily just to get to some goal and then you just kind of stop because life gets busy, right? I'm a firm believer of if you can, you got to figure out where you can fit it in when you're busy, because when you're not busy, it seems that something else tends to just go ahead and occupy that space, right? Something else comes in, some other projects, some other family thing, something. So when you're busy, if you can figure out where that workout's going to live, it's going to be much easier for you when you are not busy. Okay. So establishing a routine, dedicating time to exercise, and also figuring out what your meal situation, what your food situation is going to look like. What is the strategy there? Are you going to want to cook your foods? Are you going to want to order a meal prep service and sort of outsource that? Does that make more sense for you? Are you going to try to recruit some of your family to help you with cooking? These are things you need to think about before you sign up for a program, because most quality transformation programs are going to want you to consume whole foods, right? Single ingredient, whole foods, things that grow out of the earth, and lean proteins and things like that, which will likely require some kind of preparation if you're not going to order that or outsource that. So those are things you need to think about, right? One thing that I've done most recently, because my son was at an age where I wanted to teach him how to cook, right? And also meal prep for me. So when he was about 13, maybe a little bit younger, 12, 13, I started homeschooling him. And part of that, I was teaching him real life household lifey skills, right? I'm like, what does this kid need to learn that is likely not going to be taught to him in a public school? And then obviously we had his public school curriculum, but I wanted him to know how to be self-sufficient in the kitchen and understand how to do like day-to-day tasks, right? That a lot of kids just parents do or whatever, and a lot of times don't involve children. So I involved him in that process. So I invite you, if you have children that are old enough to help in the process, a lot of times they're more invested in also joining you in the journey when they are involved in that process. Okay. So having your children, teaching them how to cook, ground meats is super easy, right? It's just putting the meat in a pan, kind of crumbling it all up, give them the seasonings you want them to use, tell them, how to do it, tell them what container to put it in, and voila, it's done, right? Teach them how to use the rice cooker. It's like 3 steps to show them what container to put it in. It's done. Boom, it goes in the fridge, right? I usually like to do my veggies at point of when I'm making a meal, but I generally like to have some foods prepped in advance so I'm not scrambling and not unprepared. So just some ideas for you to sort of get your scheduling and your time managed ahead before you start a program, so you are not like overwhelmed when you start and just like, I don't have time for this. There's way too much involved. I'm going to have to cook. Yeah, but you're going to have to eat. Okay. And that's going to involve you cooking. And if you're not cooking, totally fine, then you're going to need some other hacks to get your nutrition handled. Okay. Again, which is having your kids prep, ordering, from a meal prep company. We have so many other time-saving meal prep hacks that we offer our clients in the program, something like grabbing some rotisserie chickens, some more convenient type of proteins, some carbs to have on the go, so you're not feeling like you have to have stuff cooked all the time. So there are swap outs. There are some other options so you don't feel like you're going to be in the kitchen all day, slaving over the stove, tons of dishes, like all of that. That's overwhelming, right? If you're busy, that's already like one more thing you don't want to have to deal with. So there are some other shortcuts and things to make this a lifestyle and not some temporary thing, just so you can like shred and lose 15 pounds. And then once you're done, you're exhausted from having to do all the things, and then you just stop doing what you were doing. Okay. The next thing to consider is that you have to anticipate that you're probably going to run into some obstacles, some roadblocks, some setbacks. Totally normal. Totally normal. It wouldn't be a story of success without you overcoming some hurdles along the way, right? So what will be the biggest obstacle for you? a lot of times you already know what that's going to be, because it's usually the thing that has stopped you before from either starting a program or being successful in the program. So you have to think about, what has that been before? Has it been, an unsupportive partner? Is it, your work schedule? Is it your children's obligations? What are those obstacles and roadblocks, and how are you going to get around them? How are you going to get rid of them? Or how are you going to work with that in your life? Okay. So addressing the strategies to overcome them is super important before you start, so you have a plan of attack and you aren't frustrated mid-program when these obstacles and hurdles are kind of coming up at you, and you're not like shocked, like, oh shit, I didn't think about this being a potential problem for me to get through this program, right? Okay, we kind of touched on this a little bit already, but the next one is establishing a support system while you're in some kind of transformation program. Now, I will be the first to tell you that when I started doing programs for myself back in the day, the first program I signed up for, I didn't have a support system or an accountability person. And the times that I have done this and I've had an accountability person or support system, my success with the programs has been greater, because I have somebody who knows I'm doing the program. Either I've hired a coach, or I have a friend that is just meeting me at the gym and doing the things with me. Maybe they're not doing the program. But we're there for each other together because we have similar goals. Super important, because another one of the biggest things that we hear in our world of like fitness in general, but I know for us specifically, is that people lose motivation, right? You start a program, you're hot and heavy and excited, and you're like, ooh, I'm going to do this thing. And then maybe you lose 5, 6, 10 pounds. And then you kind of like lose that like honeymoon phase of the program, because you're just not like as motivated and excited as you were when you started. And I think that for those that have been in the fitness lifestyle for a while, this is nothing new to me, right? Like, I don't roll out of bed, bound out, like excited, shitting rainbows to like go do all the things fitness related and like eat my egg whites and like all that stuff. It's not something that like comes naturally to me. Maybe my usual co-host, Amanda Glitters, she's positive Pollyanna most of the time. And it's not to say that I'm not positive, but like, it's not something that naturally is my normal set point. Okay. Is like to be incredibly like motivated, right? I know that for me, one thing that's worked for me, and that's a hack for me, is that I motivate myself by just getting on my Instagram and trying to motivate others. I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling motivated today, but I'm going to just share my workout or share some thoughts I'm having, or, share a reel or something that it's kind of like, it's like a forward feeding cycle, right? So having somebody that you can be accountable to, whether you guys do the program together or not, is super, super helpful. So building that support network. Now, this is important, because who are you going to reach out to when you are not motivated to do what you need to do? If you don't have an accountability person or a community that you are showing up in and showing up for, it is super easy to give up on yourself. Okay. Super, super easy, because you're the only one keeping yourself on the hook. So it's like, nobody knows. So it's not a big deal. That's why I'm a firm believer, when you start a program, to tell everybody, right? You should not be embarrassed about that. It's more or less of keeping you accountable. And one of my core principles in life is being a person of my word. So if I'm going to tell everybody I'm doing a thing, you better believe I'm going to do the thing, because it's one of my core desires to be of integrity and a person of my word. So I find that people don't like to share because they're afraid they're going to fail. Okay. So if that is you, I urge you to try something different, be a little vulnerable. Know that this process is not going to be linear. Okay. I'm giving you the answer, the cheat codes. It is not going to be this constant progress of like perfection in a health and fitness journey. It is going to be bumpy. It is going to be rocky. You're not going to nail it out the ballpark. Okay. There may be a few unicorns out there that do. However, the majority will not. So when you can give yourself permission to not be perfect going into your program and know that you're going to do your best, you're going to continue to show up. If you fall off, or if you have a hiccup, or you just don't feel motivated one day or some days, you just are going to show up and keep doing the work to the best of your ability in that given day and moment, right? Super duper important. One thing that we are really excited to roll out in 2024 for the Goddess Body Project is more of a community component where all of you in that program can have access to each other together, right? We are going to have a community for you to be able to chime in and see who else is doing the program and where in the world are all these people doing the program, and also the studio girls and like who in the studio is doing that, right? All of you are going to live in this community. And I think it's important when you start a program, whether it's online or in person, that you really jive with that community, right? Are these people you would want to hang out with, even if you never get a chance to? Is this your good vibe, high level tribe of humans that maybe you don't have access to in your day-to-day life, right? I can't begin to tell you how important this piece is to the puzzle of your success, because going at it alone freaking sucks. Okay. Having a community or having a coach that you work with one-on-one to hold you accountable is priceless. Okay. That is the support system that is going to get you through those shitty days. Okay. And then lastly, which we are all also talking about already, is recovering from your setbacks. Because again, like I said, the majority of us will have them. Bouncing back and creating a plan after there's any kind of setback. And the easiest way to do this is you just get back to the very next thing you're supposed to do. Okay. Now, we'll talk about this a lot through the program, because it is common for, our clients to fall off one day, have a weekend where they just kind of like revert back to all of their behaviors that were unserving them before they started. And they're frustrated and they're depressed and they're sad and they're just really upset about their inability to like be perfect, which perfection's overrated. Okay. So yes, even in a transformation program, we're going to hold your feet to the fire and expect you to show up for yourself. But we're also going to give you a warm, glittery hug when you have those moments and let you know the only thing you have to do is just the very next thing, which is, okay, bitch, you fucked up on the weekend, right? You had a bender with food and maybe you didn't exercise and, you stayed up to the wee hours of the morning, and I don't know, maybe you went to Burning Man. I don't know. And we're going to tell you all that the only thing you need to do is the next thing that you would have done had you not fucked up, right? You were normal. You were human. It's get back to your next meal. You just get back to whatever your next workout is, whatever your cardio, your steps, your sleep, your water, whatever is the next step to get you back on track. We're not going to tell you, okay, you need to go do, 3 hours of cardio to make up for that. You need to fast for 3 days. You need to, you need to go do a 2-hour leg workout. No, bitch. No, that is instilling really terrible, unhealthy behaviors that start to lead to an unhealthy relationship with food and exercise. Okay. So life gets lifey. Dust off your knees, put some Band-Aids if you scraped them a little bit, and you just carry on with your regularly scheduled program. That's all you can do. And you just learn from that situation and how you can how you can address it should it happen again. How can you make better decisions? How can you be more mindful? And we see that a lot of this also comes from emotional eating and things like that. And while that's not the scope of our program, we do like to bring a lot of awareness week to week in the program about your ability to be incredibly mindful in each situation, especially the ones where you would default to old habits. And we want you to be mindful so you can have that clarity about what decision serves you and what decision you're going to make that maybe doesn't. And whichever one you choose, own it. Okay. So if you are faced with a birthday party, right? And you are in the middle of your transformation program, and let's say that you are on the track where you decided to track your macros and they're serving your favorite type of cake at this party, and you have a decision to make. Okay. Do I eat the cake when I only have maybe 300 calories left or whatever, right? Or it's not going to really fit my macros. Am I going to eat that cake and be part of the celebration and enjoy that? Or am I going to pump the brakes, not have the cake, and just kind of white knuckle it? Or maybe you find sort of a happy medium and maybe you brought like a super yummy protein bar or something like that. You have to make a decision. I'm not going to tell you which one is the right decision, because I think the right decision is going to be what is going to serve your greater good. Is it going to be celebrating this birthday? Enjoying food is part of celebration a lot of times, right? Maybe it's not as big of a slice as you would normally have. Maybe it's half that. And you're having your cake, you're eating it too, and you're also, still falling within your fitness goals, right? If you follow me over on Instagram, which if you're not, hello, we need to be besties there. Okay. Diane Flores _IFBB_pro. Go find me, go say hello, and let me know that you listen to the podcast. I would love to know that. But I just posted a story actually today about the fact that you can eat cake and you can have alcohol, right? Which is, I did both this weekend, by the way, and have cookies and French fries and things like that. You can do those things and still be in a transformation program and still get results. But again, to my point at the top of this podcast, is the death is in the dose. So if you can understand that you don't have to be so hardcore one way or another in terms of your diet strategy for you to get your results, you will be able to do this for much longer, right? You will be able to live a lifestyle that is healthy and balanced and be very comfortable in your body and look fit, feel fit, look healthy. You don't have to do one or the other. And one being like extreme dieting, I can't have anything, those are bad foods. And the other extreme is the fuck it bucket, where you're just like, fuck it. I'm going to eat what I want. I'm going to do what I want. I'm not going to exercise, right? It seems that a lot of times America as a whole, it's either or. There is no Goldilocks, right? And that's what our program teaches, is giving you that middle ground so you can decide when you are going to partake in certain things and how that can actually fit into your lifestyle, which is 80% whole unprocessed foods. And then you can have a slice of cake on the weekend. You can have a glass or two of wine on the weekend, and it isn't going to derail you. You're still going to make progress. It's when those things are done excessively and too abundantly and sort of gluttonous that it becomes a problem, right? So I got tangenty there. I know. Are you surprised? But again, just to tie that up with a little bow, is that you are going to have setbacks. It's bouncing back and just kind of moving on. Okay. So to finish out this episode, just remember the lows are going to happen. You will get stuck in these little funks or snags. You have to remember why you are doing this in the first place. Okay. I hope it's not just because I want flat abs, because I need to lose 10 pounds, because I want to fit into the jeans I wore in college, right? Now, it's not to say that those aren't valid goals, but those goals are not going to be what gets you out of bed in the morning. Okay. You have to dig deep as to why you are doing this. What is making you unhappy in your current life or your body that needs to change? Okay. Are you feeling tired all the time? Are you struggling getting up the stairs? Do you have a hard time getting up and off the floor if you have small children? Are you hiding in clothes because you're really unhappy with your body, right? We work a lot on like body image, no matter what size you are or what part of the journey you're in. Part of that is loving your body, because when you can start to do that, no matter what size you are, you start to respect the things that you do and you do not do to your body any longer. Okay. So I know that that's, again, easier said than done, but when you hang out with a high vibe tribe who is constantly pushing that to you in terms of like, listen, bitch, I know you want to lose 50 pounds. I know you want to lose 100 pounds, but we have to start with what's going on between the ears to start to work on some self-love and understanding that the things that you're doing in a transformation program should not be because you hate your body. It should be because you love your body. This is the only place you have to live for the rest of your fucking life. So you got to love it now. You got to love it on the way to whatever your goal is. And you have to be realistic in knowing that it's not going to be an overnight success. It's not going to happen likely in 12 weeks only, right? This is just scratching the surface. This is just getting you fired up about taking ownership for your life, your body, and the longevity of your health and fitness journey, right? So it's not so hard stop and hard start, right? Where it's just like you're constantly in and out of these, vacillating in and out of these phases, right? It's just a part of who you are, right? So if you stay consistent, you will get there. If you hang out with like-minded people, they're going to support you. They're going to have your back. They're going to want the best for you. And they're going to hold your hand when you want to give up on yourself. Okay. So keep showing up for yourself. And remember, you belong. You belong here. Even if you never sign up for anything we offer, or anything, a transformation program or whatever, and you're just like, you're trying to figure this out all on your own, you deserve to belong in this space of figuring out your health and wellness for the greater good of your body. Okay. You are capable of the success you want. And my friend, most of the time, the only thing in your way is you. So hopefully this podcast was helpful for you. If you benefited in any way, shape, or form from anything I said here today, I would be forever grateful if you left me a comment here on YouTube, if you've made it this far. If you were over on any of the podcast platforms, there is a spot for you to leave a review. I would love that. That helps other women find the podcast who may be searching for some answers from some badass bitches like us. So I'd be greatly appreciative of that. And again, just as a reminder, of course, we have our transformation program that I would love for you to join, the Goddess Body Project, be a part of our badass community, our boss bitches in there that are taking their lives by storm and they're taking charge. So hope to see you on the next episode. And of course, we'll see you next time.